Right, virtual desktop, setting up with the Quest 2 and your PC to be able to play your normally wired PCVR games wirelessly over the Quest 2. This probably works over the Quest 1 as well. I don't have a Quest 1 to try it on, and of course some of these settings are going to be specific to the Quest 2, so it's really for the Quest 2. Anyway, it's going to be quite a long video. There's about 14 steps you need to do from start to finish. We're going to go literally through everything as if you've never done anything like this with the Quest 2 before. You've got none of the software, you've not sideloaded anything or anything. You've got a Quest 2, got a gaming PC that can play VR games, you've got some VR games on there, but that's it. You literally know nothing else. So that's where we're going to start from with this video, literally a proper step-by-step, so nothing is missed out. Hopefully it'll be clear and it'll flow well because there's a lot to go through here. So first things first, make sure you've got your VR ready PC with some VR games on there. The very next thing you need to do is, in fact, the very next thing you should do, let me get some screen capture on the go here, is click all the links in the description for this video and open them up like I've got here in individual tabs. The 6 tabs I have open there are what we're going to be using throughout this video. So go ahead, pause the video now, go and click each of those tabs, get them open ready, just like I've done there. So the very first one you can see is virtual desktop. Now, what's the matter, Rory? Oh, you're bringing me your mouse. My cat's bringing me her toy mouse. She wants to play. Rory, I'm making a video, so it's not the best time to bring your toy mouse, but thank you. Anyway, in fact, do you want to? Yeah, look. Let me show you, Ori. Oh, here she is, just bringing me her toys because she wants to play. Sorry, little one. I'm a little busy right now. Anyway, yes, virtual desktop is the first one you see we've got open here, the first tab. You need to buy this and get it on your Quest 2. Now, the easiest way to do it is in the Quest itself. Just go to the Oculus store, search for virtual desktop, get it downloaded and installed. It's about 15 quid here. In the UK, probably nearer $20 in the US. Get that installed just like you would anything else. The next thing you want to do, the next tab, is the virtual desktop website, virtualdesktop.net. Load that up, follow the link, and click download streamer app that you can see my mouse is hovering over here. Download that and install it just like you would any other program on your PC. This is what sends your PC VR games over the air, over your network to your Quest 2. So you must have that. It speaks to virtual desktop that you've just downloaded and installed in the Quest. So get those two things done. So what else do I want? So next thing, go to SideQuest. Again, if you've got these tabs already open, like I just suggested you do, click the SideQuest tab and you'll see this in front of you here. Obviously, download the Windows version that we need. Download for Windows 10. 64-bit version, get that downloaded, get that installed, again just like you did with the virtual desktop stream or any other PC program. Right, so you've got that done. Next thing we need to do is we need to register as a developer with Oculus and put our Oculus Quest 2s into developer mode. This will let us put software on there that we wouldn't otherwise be able to do, and that is what we need to get this working. So the next link and the next tab should be here, create a new organization. Ignore this bit here. It's Thanksgiving right now in the US, and obviously again they're closed over Christmas by the looks of it. This doesn't affect what we're doing though. This is for app submissions, but it's there and it might throw some people off, so ignore that. You want to come down to here where it says organization name. You can literally type in anything you like. I just use my name. Type it in there, click you understand, click submit, and then you'll have to agree to some terms and conditions. And that's basically it. You're now registered as a developer. I mean, shall we do it? No, we won't, because I don't want to, no, because I'm logged in already and that would just be confusing. So yeah, so just do that, accept the terms and conditions, and that's it, it's done. You're now registered as a developer, which we must do to be able to put the Quest in developer mode. Next thing, we need to get the ADB drivers. They're just basically kind of a driver that lets you access certain levels on the Quest that you wouldn't be able to otherwise. So go to the next tab that you should have open. It should look like this. click that you've read and agree, and then download the drivers. Now you'll see they're coming down in the bottom left hand corner there. So I will show you what we do here. Once it's downloaded like that, we may as well show in folder. For me that's here. I'm then going to right click and extract them onto my desktop like this. Now where the hell have they gone? Okay, they're over here. Right, so they'll extract to a folder like that. Enter the folder. I'll pull this over here so you can see it. Oculus Go ADB driver. It says Oculus Go drivers, although I guess it just works for Quest and Quest 2 as well, because obviously we're not using Oculus Go. Open that folder, open the USB driver folder, and then where it says Android Win USB.inf, right click and install. I've obviously done it, so I'm not going to do it again. Once it's installed, you OK it, and that's us done with that. So, what do we do next? We've registered, okay, we've installed the drivers, we've extracted them, we've installed the INF file. Okay, yeah, so next we need to load up, next we need to grab our Quest and our mobile phone, whichever phone you've linked to your Quest 2, which you will have done. You might have used a tablet, but most of us are going to have used our phones. So load up the Oculus app on your phone. Let me see, I did actually do some screen capture of this. Yeah, this one. Okay. So yeah, you load up your Oculus app and you obviously choose Quest/Quest 2. Make sure it's connected to your Quest, because if it isn't, it obviously isn't going to work. And then you want to click Settings in the bottom right hand corner here, like that. It says here the headset was not found, so click here where it says your Quest, and I guess that's the serial number of it. Searching, connecting, blah, 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 connected. There we go. So then more settings appears down here where my mouse is. Click that, and then halfway down, developer mode. And as you can see, my developer mode is already on. If it's not, put it on. Come back and just check in unlock pattern here that you don't have an unlock pattern set. If you do, you need to unselect it because that can cause problems from what I've seen. So that's all you do in the Oculus app. That's developer mode enabled. Nice and easy. Once you've done that, reboot the Quest 2. So power it down, power it up again. And the next thing we need to do is, grab our USB cable. And you can use the one that came with the Quest if you want, if you've got a USB-C, because it's USB-C both ends, isn't it? Yeah. Or you'll need a USB-A to USB-C cable. Plug the Quest into your computer using the USB cable and turn it on. Now, the next thing we need to do is load SideQuest. Now, you already downloaded and installed that earlier. So, let me load SideQuest myself. There it is. SideQuest is loaded. Now, as we say, plug in your Quest 2 via the USB cable and have a look through the Quest. There should be a prompt on the screen now that SideQuest is loaded, prompting you to allow USB debugging. So you want to allow it, and you want to tick the box that says always allow, so that you don't have to do this every single time you want to plug it in and side load some software on using SideQuest. So do that. Now, in the top left-hand corner here, I haven't actually plugged mine in. In fact, I haven't even got my bloody USB cable here. Okay, we'll pretend I've plugged mine in. In the top left-hand corner here, this light will go green and it will say your Quest is connected and all will be well. Mine isn't because my USB cable's downstairs and I forgot to bring it upstairs. But I'm sure you can all picture a green light in the top left-hand corner. Once that's done, we now need to find the patch for Virtual Desktop, which is what you installed on the Quest right at the beginning of the video, what you bought for 15 quid. We need to patch that to let it work with the Virtual Desktop streaming program that's on your PC that's going to send your PCVR games over to the Quest. So at the top of SideQuest, it says search games. You can just type Virtual Desktop, and as you see here, Virtual Desktop VR. says paid because obviously I already own it. Now this should be, is this the patch? Yes, unlocks the ability to stream Oculus Rift and Steam VR games from your computer to your Oculus Quest, Oculus Go or Gear VR headset. That is the patch you need to install. So we click on that, it comes here, and then if you see just up to the right it says install to headset. You want to install it to your headset, which should be plugged in. We should get the green light in the top left, and you should have enabled USB debugging within the Quest when you got the prompt. If you've done all those things, you'll be able to install this patch to the headset. And once you let it do it, and it will say it's completed. Once that's done, that is literally it. We are ready to go from a PC and Quest software standpoint. So before we actually get into setting up that software, the next thing I want us to do, let me just close SideQuest because I don't need it now. The next thing I want us to do is set up our routers, because there's no point dicking about with the software settings if you haven't got a solid connection over Wi-Fi to your Quest from your PC. Now, in a previous video, I recommended the TP-Link Archer AX10, and that has a 1200 megabit per second bandwidth. Now, the problem with these is they all seem to have gone out of stock everywhere. I couldn't find any more because I needed a second one. So I've actually got an AX20, which is AX1800 as well. They call it this. In fact, let me show you the box because it sounds like I'm talking rubbish, or it sounds confusing. Hopefully you'll be able to focus on this. It's called AX1500 Next Gen Wi-Fi 6 Router Archer AX10. Okay, so that's the first one I recommended. They're now all out of stock everywhere, so who knows how long that will be. So I then got the AX1800, which is also known as the Archer AX20. So either of those work perfectly. One's about 65, 70 quid, the first one, and the second one that I just held there is nearer £100. But they both work flawlessly, and we're going to show you right now how to set them up for use with virtual desktop. Obviously, you need to have powered it up. You need to have gone through the quick start guide that comes with the router, and that tells you, that lets you put in your own username, password, and just basically you just go next, next, next through the quick start guide. It's very, very simple, and it will be connected and ready to roll. Now, as far as physical connections go, you need to, so like me here, I have a router that came with my internet connection, my ISP. I'm just using one of the LAN outputs on the back of that to go into, have we got a picture on the back here? No, anyway, we have sort of, but it's not easy to see. So on the back here, there is a very poor picture, but there's a blue socket amongst all the LAN sockets on the back of the router. That's called WAN, and that is what you connect to your internet service provider's router. So you plug that in just as if you were plugging a computer into your existing router. You plug the WAN socket on the back of that into your router as if it was just another computer. And that's going to give you the connectivity. It's going to pass the internet through into this new TP-Link router for you to use on your gaming PC. So then you get your gaming PC's network cable that was probably previously plugged into your ISP's router, and you plug it into any of the available LAN sockets on this new TP-Link one, of which there are 3 or 4. So yeah, just to recap, existing router into the WAN port, and then PC into the LAN port on the new TP-Link router. That's all you plug in. Yeah, so at that point, then you can follow the quick start guide, that came with it. You can't do that first because you need to have it plugged in. So plug it in, WAN and LAN, follow the quick start guide, put in your password, set yourself up, you're good to go. Now, this is what you'll see once you've done that on the screen here. It defaults when you first log in to Network Map. We want to go over to System first of all, and go and check for firmware updates. If you don't check for firmware updates, your layout will look slightly different to what we see here, because I've done the firmware update and it's changed the layout slightly. So go to System and then do a firmware update, let it reboot, log back in, and you'll be back here where we are now, like this. So head over to wireless and let's take a little goosey what we have here. So if you look at my screen, I've got OFDMA enabled. It's kind of irrelevant because we're only going to be using one device on here anyway, but I just didn't bother unticking it. TWT, untick, Smart Connect, untick, 2.4 gigahertz is unticked. We don't want it broadcasting a 2.4 gigahertz signal because that's just more potential interference, you know, in the room where we want a nice, clean connection. 5 gigahertz is the one we're going to use, so obviously that is ticked and enabled. Mine is called Games Room 5 gigahertz, so I know obviously what it is. Security is irrelevant, you know, just leave that to default, as is the security version, as is the encryption, and then that's my password there, which I'm going to obviously grey out so you don't all see it, in case you're sneaking around my house using my 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. Transmit power we want on high, and channel width we want on 80, which is the most these will do. I've experimented with another router using 160 megahertz. It made absolutely no difference. The Quest 2 doesn't benefit from double the speed. Again, 80 megahertz is more than enough to transfer the bandwidth for virtual desktop over to the Quest 2. Now, channel, I'm on 48. You only got a choice of these few here. At this point, you need to really use something like Wi-Fi Analyzer on an Android phone. There's probably a iOS version, to have a look and see what other 5 gigahertz wireless networks are around in your area. Now, I'm using my phone as a camera to record this video, so I can't show you now, but what I'll do is I'll record a little bit afterwards that I'm going to add in now, where I'm showing you how to use Wi-Fi Analyzer on your phone to choose an appropriate channel. Once I've done that, I will be back. So this is Wi-Fi Analyzer. This is what we use to check what channels are being used, you know, in and around your home, to try and find one that's not too busy. On the left-hand side, you see your signal strength. On the bottom, you see what channels are in use. And as you can see, we're on the 5 gigahertz network here. You don't want to be on the 2.4 because 5 gigahertz is what we're using with our Quests. Now, for me, I've got front room 5 gigahertz. I've got games room 5 gigahertz. Now it looks like they're both on the same channel sort of width here, 36 to 48, but they're actually not. One's on 36 and one is set to 48. So even though they look the same, I'm not sure why that is, they are actually on separate channels. And yeah, it's weird. You'd think that the spike, the top of those curves would represent exactly which channel it's on, being the strongest point, but it isn't for some reason. But anyway, they are on different ones. The one over to the right here is my ISP's router. There's the normal household router, and that allowed me to move it all the way over there up into the hundreds. I don't quite know why that router lets me do that, and the TP-Links only give me 36 to 48, but they do. But anyway, this is what you use, Wi-Fi Analyzer, free on Android and probably free on iOS too. But pick a channel that's not got loads of other ones on, you know, preferably, or as best as you can really. If you live on a housing estate with lots of other houses around, there might not be much you can do about it, but yours will always be the strongest anyway. And as long as you're only a couple of meters away from the router, it should work just fine. Right, presumably I've just done that and I've shown you, and you now know what channel is best to use for you. If you've got other frequencies around you on channel 36, come choose channel 48. If you've got some on 48, choose channel 36. Just try and keep away from existing channels that are already in use. The next one we want in mode. This is the different protocols, the different ways to connect over Wi-Fi. We want 802.11ax only. That is Wi-Fi 6. That is the fastest. That is what we want to use. The Quest will now only connect to it in that way. Now, once that's done, the only other thing we do here is go to additional settings and or is it under system? Oh, it's under system. Go to system again, sorry. Come down to operation mode, and you've got a choice of wireless router mode or access point. You want to set it to access point. And as it says here, in this mode, the router changes an existing wired network into a wireless one. So what this will do, basically, it just means it's going to enable this router to speak directly to the Quest and then straight back to your PC. And that's exactly what we want. We don't want it sharing out to all sorts of other things. So that is all you do in these TP-Link routers. That is it, set up, job done. Now we get onto the streamer app itself or program. So let me fire that up, virtual desktop stream. Again, you've installed this earlier, so probably got a link shortcut on the desktop. Get it fired up here. Now, right hand side, allow remote connections, obviously, or it isn't going to work. You don't want it to automatically adjust the bitrate. We're going to set that manually later. You may or may not want it to start with Windows, that's up to you. You may or may not want it to start minimized, that is also up to you. Yes, you want to use touch input. Why you want to lock computer on disconnect, I don't know, but the option's there. Auto select microphone, stream audio, mute computer speakers, and use virtual audio driver. You want those all enabled so that you can use voice chat in whatever games it is that you might be playing. Obviously, I've got version 1.18.1. This is the latest version available at the time of recording. Pardon me. Oculus username, that has to be the Oculus username that you've got your Quest set up with. Otherwise, it won't know who the hell it's trying to talk to. Preferred codec. This is going to vary based on what hardware you have. Now, when I used HEVC, I was seeing an additional 10 milliseconds of latency up until 1.18.1, where now I don't really see any difference. So your mileage may vary with that, but you can choose either. And I believe H.264 actually retains a little more of the finer details as it compresses the image into a video, whereas HEVC doesn't, but I believe has less banding and blockiness in the blacks. Now, to be honest, for me, I can't really tell a big enough difference in games. I'm not spending my time staring at black walls to try and pick out compression artifacts. You know, I'm enjoying myself. So you can use either. It's whichever one works best for you. It will vary depending on your graphics card, and maybe you'll spot some artifacts or some compression that I don't, and so you'll prefer one over the other. Or maybe you'll see a higher latency with one and a lower latency with the other. So just choose whichever one works best for you. And I'll show you how to look at the latencies a bit later in the video as we're doing it. This is actually quite a complicated video. I'm having to throw this all together off the top of my head, so bear with me if it doesn't flow quite as well as it should do. I have no script. Right, so that's all you do there. The next thing we need to do is literally load up virtual desktop in our headset and go through the settings there. Now, I'm going to do a cut here because what I need to do is turn the Quest on, get that casting to my computer monitor so that I can try and show you what I'm doing in there as I'm talking you through it. So just bear with us a sec as I get this set up. Okay, so I'm having to hold my fist in front of the sensor so that the Quest 2 thinks I'm wearing it. So hopefully I'm going to be able to do what I need to do here. So, okay, this is actually really tricky. We need to tilt that a little bit there. So, once you're in your Quest, click on your apps, you'll see virtual desktop is there. Open that up. This is way trickier than I was expecting, and it looks really small on the screen as well. Oh, and my volume's a bit loud on the Quest. Let's turn that down, shall we? There we go. Anyway, you can see Carlos PC there. So you click on that, connecting. Does that say connect? Oh, updating streamer. Okay, so there's typically an update for the streamer. Give us 2 ticks. We'll let that happen, and then we'll continue the video. In fact, actually, whilst it's doing that, we'll go through some of the other settings. Environments is just literally the virtual environment that you're in, so that's irrelevant. Games tab, I'll be able to show you when we're connected in a minute. It brings up all your VR games. Input, literally just, you can configure your controls. Come into settings. Now these are really small on my preview screen here. Okay, I want to hold it up to my face. In fact, hopefully that will, oh, in fact, yeah, will that work? If I look forward, hopefully you can still see it. Okay, yeah, excellent. It's the first time I've done this, all right, give me a break. So, computers, auto connect, use optimal resolution. This is the resolution for your computer monitor that you're streaming from, nothing to do with the VR experience. Environment quality, again, this is the sort of environment we're in now, not your actual VR game environment, so you can just leave that on medium. The frame rate here is also for right now, rather than in-game. So you set that to whatever the hell you want, as is this bit rate here. For literally, it's for right now. It's not for when we're playing VR. Brightness, basically most things are default here. 100%, dynamic lighting on, audio, blah, 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 blah. Boost clock rates is just going to, basically, as it sounds, your Quest 2 is going to run a little bit faster. It will gain some battery though. It says only used for when recording video or casting, but I leave it on all the time because, well, why not have a little bit of extra power to help things run smoothly? So the most important bit we go to here is the streaming tab. This is actually your in-game streaming options. Graphics quality here, VR, low, medium, high, that is resolutions. I can't remember what they are off the top of my head, but I can run the highest one with my 2080. So that works just fine for me. 80 hertz is what I've got it set. I can run 90, but then I might have to turn sort of some in-game settings down a little bit depending what games I'm playing. So I'm making a compromise here between 72 and 90. I'm going 80, and then the VR bitrate is obviously the bitrate of the video compression. Now again, 125 for me is a sweet spot because 150 takes my my network latency up a little bit higher than I'd like, and I'm going to show us all that in a second. So in fact, yeah, so just, yeah, I use 125 and you'll see why in a minute. Gamma's default, sliced encoding I have on, as it says there, reduces latency, but might not work with all GPUs. Extra latency mode, video buffering. If you get, as it says here, some glitches with the tracking or some stuttering, you can experiment with turning those on and off to try and smooth things out. Center to play space, I actually have no idea what that does. I've never ever used it. You'll probably never need to either, but I couldn't tell you what it does. Maybe I should have looked before I made the video. Increased color vibrance does what it says. Increased video nominal range makes dark colors darker, bright colors brighter. So it's almost like increasing the sort of contrast ratio a little bit. I haven't actually tried that either, but you can have a play around. And then last but not least, show performance overlay. Super important, this one. This allows us to see exactly what sort of experience we're getting and adjust the things we need to adjust to improve it. Videos, tab over on the left-hand side here, is in development, so that's irrelevant. Right, now, let's connect to my PC, because that should have... why hasn't it? Oh, there we go. I had to do it twice. Now connected to my PC. Brilliant. So here is my actual desktop. We don't want to see that. We want to go back into that screen we were just on, which is there. And we want to go to games. This brings up all the games I have available. So let's just load up Zero Caliber. These are obviously all PC VR games as well. Once that's loaded, oh, you can see here already, look, the performance overlay at the bottom there. My gun is in the way because my controller's sat on the desk. So I'll try and keep this as still as I can. I'll wait until we get into the actual game. So I've got it set at 80 hertz. So that's why we're seeing around 80 FPS in the top left. Overall latency is immediately underneath it. You want to keep this as low as you can. What you're seeing here, I think, is reasonably decent. It should be a bit lower, and I'll tell you why in a second. Bitrate is the bitrate we set in the options a minute ago, and the codec is the codec we chose on the desktop client. Now, the next list, game encoding, networking, and decoding. Game is how long it's taking your PC to render the graphics for the game. So if you put whatever game, if we put Zero Caliber that we're in now all on the lowest settings, that, well, in fact, I may as well show you because, hey, why not? Let's be thorough. I need my left hand on the controller. Yeah, basically, if you lower the settings in game, oh no, I need my right, okay, I can't do this because I'm having to hold the headset on because I've taken the strap off. So yeah, anyway, if you put your game settings to minimum visually, that game latency will drop down. If you put the game settings to maximum with 8 times anti-aliasing, then the latency for game would go up exponentially. So I try and keep everything around 10 to 12 milliseconds for game. Seems to be a good sweet spot for me. Encoding is the time it's taking your PC to then convert that rendered game into your chosen video codec, H.264 in this case. And then networking is how long it's taking to send that freshly encoded video over the air from the PC through your router, your TP-Link, to your Quest 2. Now the reason mine is in the orange or the red, whatever colour it might actually be, I'm colourblind, and is up so high is because I've actually connected to the router on the downstairs PC, which is in a different room. If I connect it to the one up here, then we will be a much lower connection speed. And the reason I've done that is because I've got a different Quest set up for the one up here, and this one I'm using is set up for the downstairs PC, so we can do multiplayer games, me and KE. So that would normally be somewhere in the 5 to 6 milliseconds range. And this gives you a good example of why you should always have the router in the same room as your Quest 2 for optimal latency. I mean, it's not bad where it is, and it's actually playable like this, believe it or not. It's just not optimal. And then the final one, decoding, is how long it's taking your Quest 2 to decode the encoded video. Again, your H.264 codec in this case. And on the right hand side, it's just mirroring the options that we chose earlier. Graphics quality high, slice encoding yes, extra latency no, video buffering no. So let me now come out of this so I can talk properly. Oh dear, that's weird. In fact, that's not coming out of it. Let's come out of it properly, Cole. Hopefully, that was all pretty clear. Okay, well actually, whilst we're looking at this, you can launch Steam VR from here to load your Steam VR games. But Guy Godin, the guy that produces Virtual Desktop, recommends we load everything from the Games tab for maximum compatibility. So I load Steam VR games from this screen you see here, and it will automatically launch Steam VR as part of that process anyway. But yeah, there's nothing else I need to tell you from here. So let's quit out of that, and let's stop the casting. Stop casting. Okay, great, brilliant. That puts my desktop back to normal. Right. Was I? Tell me I was. Okay, yeah, I was. For a moment, I thought I wasn't actually saving the recording. That would have been a pain. So, I think I've covered absolutely everything that can be covered when it comes to setting up Virtual Desktop from start to finish using the tried and tested TP-Link routers that I've experimented with. The settings you see, obviously they're in Virtual Desktop, will vary based on your own PC's specs. You know, you might not be able to run the graphics setting on high in Virtual Desktop. You might have to drop back to medium. You know, maybe you'll need to lower your bit rate from 125 down to 100 if your network latency is too high. So you see that was, pardon me, you see we were hitting what was it, 17, 18 milliseconds, something like that. It was just changing from white to orange or red, whatever color it is. I could have lowered the bit rate in the Virtual Desktop streaming tab down to say 75, and that would have brought that latency right down, you know, into the white and down to that sort of 6-7 millisecond. But I don't need to, because this Quest is for downstairs. That's why I was holding it with my hands, because I've taken the strap off to make it easier to do shit like that whilst I was trying to record this video. So yeah, those settings are my personal settings. The ones in the router, again, specifically for that router, but the same settings will be in most routers and need to be set up in exactly the same way. Now, as I say, this video isn't scripted because I don't script anything, so hopefully I've covered everything. Hopefully it flowed reasonably well. I apologise if it didn't, but there was a lot to get through today. If you have any additional questions, please stick them in the comments, because I do try and read all the comments, although it's getting harder and harder as I seem to be getting more and more comments every day. But yeah, by all means, stick them there. If I can help, I will. If not, I'm sure someone else in the comments will be able to. But I really hope that was clear. I know some of you have been waiting on this as well. There are links to these routers in the description if you want to click through and buy one. I'll earn a small commission, both Amazon and eBay. It helps the channel. And there will be links for Quest 2 as well. And of course, all those tabs that I said for you to open in the beginning, they're all linked in the description. Get them all open at the beginning when you start this process, and you can just pause my video, do what I've said, unpause it, go to the next tab, do what I said, pause it, and you'll work your way through, and hopefully what's quite a long, ball achy procedure becomes a bit more manageable. Anyway, thank you very much for bearing with us till the end. Have a great week or weekend. I don't know when I'm going to publish this video, but as always, take it easy.